Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo!
Ronnie, how happy.
Everybody loves Hump Day.
There it is.
Ta-da!
Now we're back.
Now we're cooking with kerosene, gas, God knows what.
Rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel.
Yeah, it turns out that SpaceX, that's their rocket fuel.
Really?
Yeah,
Hey.
kerosene.
Hey, why not?
Why not? Yeah, it's good for lamps. It should be good for rockets, I guess.
I guess. Why not?
Add
You know?
enough oxygen to anything.
It'll burn.
It'll go.
It'll burn. The space program found that out the hard way, didn't they?
Ooh.
Was it Apollo 1 that caught fire on the pad?
100% oxygen environment.
Yeah.
There was a spark inside the cabin.
The capsule, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what were they thinking?
And what the worst part was, I mean, that was bad enough.
Yeah.
But the worst part was the hatch was designed to only be opened from the outside.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the engineers really didn't think
Once
that
you're in there, we don't want you coming out. You might. What did they think? They were going to open it at some point in time in space? Hey, let's see if we can open the door. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways. So, very unfortunate.
Yes, very, very unfortunate. Well, it's a Wednesday. It's the Wednesday after the Honda Classic. Hope some of you people got a chance to get down there and watch
people are
some
still
of the
talking
watch
about
some
it.
of the golf.
What a buzz.
Yeah, I mean they broke attendance records again,
Right.
from everything I heard.
Right.
So pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of that probably had to do with the fact that Tiger Woods was there.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was funny because he didn't play real well 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles in
Yeah.
Riviera. So I think a lot of people skipped work or skipped school on Friday to come see him because they were afraid he wouldn't make the cut. So they were like, we better go watch him Friday because he might not be there for the weekend.
Right.
So they had a lot of people out there on Friday that I guess they weren't expecting. You know, the crowd was pretty buzzy on Friday.
Yeah.
Fortunately for Tiger, he played well enough to make the cut. And Saturday, he carded his first subpar round in 900 days. Wow. That's a long time to go without getting under par.
Wow.
Especially when you're arguably the second greatest golfer ever. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Man, that's
not
a long time coming.
That is not
man.
a claim to fame.
That is a long time coming.
900. How many? 900 what?
900 days.
900
it's been
even.
900 days since Tiger Woods had an under par round of golf in a tournament.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure he's done better on PlayStation or Xbox, but we're only counting on real grass.
Okay.
So, but I went out there. Was out there. Like I said, it was out there on Tuesday. Watched the practice round. We talked a little bit about that. What was interesting was I like the practice round because like I had mentioned, you get to talk to the guys.
Yeah.
You have a good time, and you get to watch them kind of prepare. And one thing that was interesting was I saw one pro that was over there warming up. Somebody I didn't really recognize. I don't even think I really recognized the name. And I saw him later on carrying his clubs through the resort. I thought, man, that's pretty rough. That you got to carry your own clubs. Where's your caddy? And I walk in as he walked by. I said, don't you have a caddy for that? He says, my caddy better be out scouting the course. He goes, I don't need him to watch me hit balls. That's what my swing coach is for. He goes, I need him out there scouting the course. He goes, why? Did you see him? I said, no, I didn't see him anywhere. I was like, oh boy, I could have really
let him have it.
Could have really let him have it, and said, well, yeah, it was down at the pool bar about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, having a cocktail, getting ready to play.
But so I thought, I'd never really thought about that. That you're changing, you're making some tweaks on your equipment before the tournament. You're working on your swing. You've got your swing coach there. You have all the new technology that we have now. I mean, these guys, have their TrackMan. They use the TrackMan. The guy there is from TrackMan. And for those of you who don't know what TrackMan is, it's It's basically a
It's a XY radar based
yeah.
system. It uses multiple radars to calibrate the golf ball in flight, just in the same technology they use to track missiles for, military.
Yeah. It's about the size of a laptop.
Now it's gotten very small. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little. Yeah. It's about the size of a smallish laptop.
Yeah.
And they put it up behind you, and you hit balls. And what was interesting was watching these guys. Like he said, I don't need my caddy there to hand me a golf ball or hand me a tee or clean my clubs. I can do that. I need him out checking the golf, scouting the course. What's the course look like? Where do I not want to hit it? Where's the rough real
strategy?
Where's the and figuring all that stuff out.
Sure.
And these guys are on the tee, on the practice green or on the practice tee, and they're hitting balls and they're coming back and they're looking on their own, either their little iPad or their phone or something that they've got hooked into the TrackMan app, and they're looking at it, and then they're checking ball spin, they're checking ball speed, they're checking the trajectory and all that, and then they're changing the clubs. Okay, like I watched several guys trying new drivers. And they were hitting him. They just didn't like the numbers. They didn't like the we're getting too much spin or not enough spin to keep the ball in the air, and they just kept tinkering until the numbers looked right. And then they started. Okay, now I'm feeling it. Yeah, now it's and then okay, I need 3 or 4 more of these heads, so that if something happens to this one,
made to that spec. Yeah,
this is what I want.
It's funny. The average golfer doesn't know how much technology and how many details go into the professional game.
Oh, it's amazing now.
Yeah, and the technology component is relatively, in the last 5 years has become commonplace. But back in the day, that was all accomplished by trial and error. The tour vans you'd walk over and you'd say, oh yeah, I play this kind of club, I play at this degree. And I've told this story many times, but there was this Mark Helcovecchia story where he was trying to get a new ping driver, and they made a bag of drivers. I mean, I'm talking 30 to 50 drivers in a bag, all the same.
It's like a bushel of drivers.
Same driver, his grip, same shaft.
Yeah.
And he'd look at it. Nope. Put that one over there. Like he was mentally just looking at the drivers, going no. And he ended up with about a dozen that he liked the look of. Now, remember, these are identical drivers.
Yeah.
That he liked the look of, and then he'd hit them, and he'd end up with 3 or 4, and that was it. And then that went in his bag. And,
wow.
Then he'd have his gamer.
Yeah.
He'd have his backup, his on deck. He'd have
his varsity, his JV. And
he'd have his in the hole, and he had, something bad just really happened right? When I get to 4. But
I get to the 4th one.
The track
to start all over.
The ability to measure and optimize spin, launch. A lot of pros spend a lot of time really focusing on their angle of attack too, because depending on how they come into the golf ball determines the kind of numbers they put up versus shaft. So if you have someone that's relatively shallow, they need to create some spin. Where you have someone that kind of is a little steep that has a lot of spin, you're trying to bring spin down. So depending on how you hit the ball, kind of you're optimizing.
You adjust the equipment to match that. Yeah.
But again, it's still user error. I mean, with all that technology, you watched how many players hit balls in the water at the Bear Trap. How many players, look at the statistics. I mean, with all that technology, they're still missing.
What was it, Friday? They had 70-some balls in the water on Friday.
Right. And so
that's like every other player.
But
hit a ball in the water.
You've played that hole, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a demanding hole, but gosh, the last couple times, I haven't played there in a while, but I don't remember hitting in the water. I mean, I just avoided the water. I mean, I just played left, but it's not. I mean, they're only hitting 5 irons into that thing,
Yeah.
Was that? I mean, what?
Yeah, about that. Yeah,
5,
6 iron, depending on the wind and depending on where the pin was.
Man, a lot of balls in the water. That shows you how mentally that hole is challenging.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
It is.
I mean,
and the other thing is a lot of pros like to hit a draw,
right?
Versus a fade. And the problem there is, okay, if you want to hit a draw,
you got to start on the water.
You got to kind of start it at the water. Well, if you want to hit a fade, you got to kind of fade it at the water. So it's kind of it's one of those. I don't really want to hit too big a fade because it may wind up in the water. So you wind up.
I think a lot of those misses were guys that were trying to hold the wind. They didn't want to start it on the wind and play adrift.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were trying to hold and cut it into the wind.
Yeah.
And let the wind kind of hold it.
Let the wind keep it straight, and then it didn't work the way they wanted it to.
Well, the wind didn't come where they overcome. They kind of pushed it, and then they get
Yeah.
that water ball. But
Yeah.
anyways, it was a good tournament, though.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was. And then the obviously pretty crowded leaderboard. I mean, at one point in time on Sunday,
a lot of guys in the hunt.
walking around Sunday, my son was working the shot link on the 4th green.
Oh, cool. That was cool.
So he was sending, during the week, during the weekdays, he was sending me pictures. Oh, here's so and so, here's so and so, and oh yeah, look at that, and he's telling me, Tiger hit it, like 8 foot 2 inches. Yeah, pretty good. The closest one so far. He'd tell me, and on and on. And so when he got, what was nice about that was when he got done Sunday, when the leaders went by on Sunday, he was done. So he was done pretty early on Sunday because he was on the 4th hole. So once the leaders went through, they boxed up their equipment, and he and I just roamed around and and followed different groups here and there, and
That's very cool.
and had a pretty good time. I mean, we did hear the Justin Thomas, who won this thing
Right.
in a playoff against Luke List. On the 16th hole, I hate to use the word gentleman, but had a gentleman removed from the gallery, from the facility, basically. The guy had been kind of heckling him for many holes. We heard some of it. The guy's, are you going to hit this one in the water? Are you going to hit this one in the bunker? And he'd hit it, and he'd be, oh, I hope that goes in a bunker. Come on, get in the bunker, get in the bunker. Some people were a little upset about it, that he was thrown out, asked to leave, basically escorted off the property. Some people were, damn, why didn't you do this 4 holes ago when this clown started? And I can see both sides. I mean, I understand that, heckling happens. I mean, Jack Nicklaus dealt with it. I mean, a lot of people call him Fat Jack when he played against Arnie a lot of times early in his career. And you look at what Sergio had to deal with at the U.S. Open at Bethpage a few years back when he was gripping and re-gripping his club, and he just had that mental block of getting, starting his swing. And people were like, come on already, hit it already. I ain't got all day, and on and on, and all it did was exacerbate things. But and you go to a football game or you go to a baseball game, and you hear a lot of heckling. You go to a soccer game, and anybody that's ever been to Europe and been to a soccer game, listen to what they say to the goalie while the ball's down the other end or in the down in midfield or something, and it's just brutal, and they deal with it. Are golfers too thin-skinned to deal with it? I don't know, but I think golf is a different sport in that it's of course a gentleman's game, but I would like to think that it should attract a better class of fan and everything else, and I don't think there's really a place for it. I mean, there's. I don't think there's a place for it at all. I'd love to see him grab the guys that yell, get in the hole when he hits it off the tee on a par 5, and just drag them out too. Wouldn't mind seeing him get these guys that got to yell, Baba Booey and mashed potatoes and all this sort of stupid stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not part of the show. We're not there for you to entertain us. We're there to watch these guys entertain us. And there was one guy up on top of where the grandstands were behind 15, which was a great place to go. They had a big platform up top there. It was in the shade. There was a nice breeze blowing through. There were some seats around the edges. There was a bar in the middle. Wow. And you can see where this is going. And from that vantage point, you could watch the players hit into 12 and play 12. You could watch them tee off on 13, and if you looked hard enough or if you had binoculars, you could watch them putt out on 13. You could watch their approach shots and putts on 14. And then you could watch them play the entire 15th hole, which was a par 3. And then you could watch them tee off on 16, all from that one spot. And so it was a very popular spot. And because there was the bar there were obviously some
People that had a little bit too much to drink.
Some people that were a little heavy with their libations. And there was one guy that just decided in the middle of it all, he saw somebody he knew, and he just starts yelling this guy's name. And he's like jumping on, and he's yelling. And people are like, dude, there's somebody over here trying to putt or trying to tee off. Just, and he's just yelling and jumping. And the law enforcement officer that was up there walks up to him and kind of says, dude, you need to settle down. You need to calm down. He's like, I paid my ticket. I got blah, 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 blah. Are you familiar with the First Amendment? And the cop looks at him and goes, are you familiar with drunk and disorderly?
I think he won that battle.
The guy shut right up.
You know what? The thing with the tour, and part of the problem and what we're discussing, which was unruly fans at golf events, but because golf tour events have become these major social enterprises, right?
Oh, yeah. They're promoted as such.
It is. And so when you bring that element in, and you're going to have a lot more alcohol on the golf course, a lot more people maybe out there that are more there for the party than the golf, right?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna end up a little bit with some people that are just out of place. But I wanted to say this. A friend of mine, I was talking to him, and he had never been to a PGA Tour event.
Oh, wow.
And he went on Friday, and he got there late, and his son, who is a high-functioning autistic guy, young man, he's actually, in his 20s, but he was working, helping, doing stuff with the event, so it was really good, and he had a great time and had a great experience. But the point was, he got there late, and he thought, not much is going to be going on. It's 3 o'clock, a lot of groups are coming off, and he was shocked, right? So he got there. The Michelob tent at number 9 was packed. There were a few guys playing, so he did get to see people on the golf course. But then the party started, and then once the players got off, the restaurants were opening up, the corporate stuff started going, the music started going. There was a live band. And then he actually ended up staying all the way through fireworks. And he said, I had no idea. I mean, I didn't get home until like 11 o'clock at night. It was awesome.
Yeah. And here you were thinking that's going to be done by 5, 6 o'clock when it gets dark.
Right. He figured I'd go at 3. How busy can it be? But he said, boy, it was awesome. It was loaded, and there was a lot of people, and a lot of people hung around, and that was part of the ticket and part of the event. And so, but again, if you're going to create a
atmosphere.
But again, you're going to have the situation. So the whole conversation we started talking about was Justin Thomas asking a fan to be removed from a golf course. Yeah. And I think it's perfectly within his right as a player to remove a fan who's obnoxious, and not just obnoxious like one comment, but this guy is following him.
Yeah. Badgering him, heckling him constantly. Yeah.
And this is
now, granted, he's not saying anything during his swing, but you've heard this guy all along, and you're kind of waiting for it.
Right.
You're kind of thinking sooner or later this guy's going to do something in the middle of my backswing. It's just you're.
You know what? In golf, that's enough to throw you off big time. And considering that so Justin Thomas is dealing with this guy, asks the authorities to take him off the property, and still wins. Mm-hmm. How tough is that guy? Because golf, it'll get under your skin pretty quick, if you're out there and people are bugging you, So I think he has every right to do that, and I think the fans have to know that, the players are making a living out there. And it's
they're at work. Yeah.
Well, you brought up like soccer and other sports, and again, it's the atmosphere is a lot different, and heckling and yelling are kind of part of that.
Yeah.
But yelling at a soccer goalie in a big game, it's not really taking away his paycheck unless, he makes a really bad play because he gets distracted by a fan. But he'd have to do that over and over and over again before it would revert to somebody taking his spot or him being released from a team. Yeah. Whereas golf, you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and you're not talking about a few $100 here.
Yeah.
What was first place, like 1.4 or 1.
Like 1.3 something million dollars.
Yeah. And second was what, 800?
Yeah.
900? So you're talking about a $400,000
to $500,000 difference
on one shot. So as far as Justin Thomas, maybe he's listening to our show. And if you are,
it's right down the street here in Jupiter.
If you are, I think he did the right thing.
Actually, I think he's in Mexico, but yeah.
Because they all went to the tournament, the WC,
Yeah.
they all moved down to Mexico. So
But-
anyway, that's my whole take on
Oh, yeah.
on that tour event. But we're very fortunate. I mean, obviously, South Florida is a hotbed for golf, and having all these events come through town is pretty cool. But I do say, I think I missed Darrell. I got to tell you.
Oh, I always liked it. I always liked it a lot. I mean,
I think that was sad that we do not have Darrell anymore. And I actually thought, I think the Honda has gotten way better, but Darrell has always had a good party.
Oh, yeah.
And always did a really good job at keeping people around, and totally different atmosphere.
And one thing about the Honda. Now, the Honda Classic, it's one of my favorites. Because it's right in my
down the road.
backyard. It's right down the street. I've been watching it for years. But the people they have running the whole media thing there
Changed a lot.
are not. Well, no, they've kept the same people, and
Oh, they have.
and the guy in charge is not the most media friendly person. You would think he'd be there to promote everything they can to the media. Well, I never heard about the media day until Ken Kennerly called in our show last Wednesday, and it had been the Tuesday before, or 2 weeks ago. So I heard about it the day after it happened. I know some guys that are big in the big writers like Craig Dolch, that are pretty big,
Well known, the guys from
and
there,
well known. And they heard about it like Friday or Saturday before the Tuesday. And they were like, yeah, what, you're having a media day, but you don't want anybody to show up. And they only had about 12 or 15 people, and whereas if you'd gone to the Champions event in
They
Boca,
probably had 50 people.
they had like almost 80 people, they said.
So why do you think that is? I mean, what was the point?
I think they just don't want to be bothered.
You think it's just of a
I
hassle?
think they just don't want to be bothered. It's too much hassle for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's got to be somebody's got to be making that decision. Like, why would they do that?
But now you look at Doral.
Yeah.
The last time that Doral had the World Golf Championships there, the Cadillac Championships that were held
Right.
there, Donald Trump had us in for the night before. We stayed overnight,
He put you up.
had the media event, and played golf.
That's pretty nice. Had a lot more guys.
I mean,
show up. That'll get a lot of writers to say.
That's a big difference, man.
So did you have a very nice article after that?
Of course.
It was wonderful to be there.
It was great to be there.
As we know, Trump likes publicity, so that worked
yeah.
out pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, but I do miss that tournament. I kind of have always looked forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the atmosphere was really cool. So anyway,
But yeah, congratulations to Justin Thomas. It's his 8th win now in not too long a time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the hottest golfer on the planet right now.
He didn't have to wait 900 days.
No, he did not have
No.
to wait 900 days. No.
So now we got to see. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about how in today's tour, because the money's so large, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justin Thomas is young. What is he? 23?
yeah,
24?
24,
Okay.
yeah.
So he's got, say he's got 20, 30 million now in the bank, right? So he's got a window here.
He's comfortable.
Oh, he's very comfortable, and he's I didn't see Jordan Spieth say congratulations so much on this last tournament. I didn't see too many of his buddies saying
Tweets. Well, actually, Ricky was there to hand him the trophy when he got
was?
done. Ricky waited. Ricky came in, to
like-
watch the end of the event from Jupiter, which was pretty cool.
like fist pump, bro. Way to go, man. You guys want to go to Moe's after this and get some burritos?
yeah, exactly.
Because that's kind of what they roll,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's pretty funny, but that it is, interesting to see if these young guys can, create a mystique.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's got something. 'Cause there's something special about this guy.
Yeah.
There's something definitely special. Pound for pound, what is he? Pound for pound, the longest hitter. Pound,
Oh yeah.
easy, right?
Oh yeah.
And he knows how to win. And he's always won.
Yeah.
What can he get to? I mean, he's at 8. He's got a lot to go, but still pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break.
Take a quick break.
Yeah. If you want to join us, 220-9788 is the number. Look around the room. There's like nothing on the walls here for a change. I was kind of lost there for a second.
No theme this evening.
There's no theme tonight.
Oh, all right.
What's our next? Well, we got St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always
That's our next theme.
Need some green beer.
Turns us into a green
This
room.
place will be green.
The green room.
Yes, green with envy.
And make sure we can check us online too.
30
People can
yards
see us.
now. Bill's got a very tough lie here.
Looks like we have some sort of sea monster in the water hazard here.
I believe that's a kraken, Bruce.
It looks like he's going to go with the 9-iron. That may not be enough club.
Well, he's definitely going to lose a stroke on this hole.
And we're back on the Hump Day edition, the Wednesday Night Golf Show on WSTU Radio, WSTU1450.com, WSTUTV.com, and Arlen is broadcasting live on Facebook Live.
I am Facebook Live.
Wow.
I'm gonna start our second segment here coming up because
All right.
kind of went off the air here, but
Hey,
gonna try to keep adding this every week. So anyway, we
cool.
are on Facebook Live. We're live right now. Hi,
Sweet.
everybody out there.
hey.
Check us out.
So we got another thing to promote, see, because we're on WSTU 1450. You're giving me a hard time about this a couple weeks
Oh,
ago,
I know,
right?
I know. It's just getting worse.
WSTU AM radio.
AM radio
1450.
1450.
WSTU1450.com. WSTUTV.com.
Oh, boy.
WSTUTV.com.
Right.
And WSTU1450.com.
Correct.
And last week we had one of our better shows. That conversation with Bobby Weed
Yes.
from Michael Jordan's new golf course, Grove
Right.
23.
Yes.
I think every time we say that, our social media credibility goes up a notch.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Jordan's golf course, yes, Grove
Yes.
23. So,
Yeah.
so this weekend, I was in my shop, doing some lessons, doing some things, and I get a really interesting visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Michael. No, it wasn't.
Darn it.
Michael didn't show up. But so
Could have been him, though.
it could have been.
He might have driven by.
So on Sunday afternoons, I get a lot of caddies at my place. And they basically come from MacArthur, and I get a couple guys from Medalist here and there. So anyway, we had a couple guys in there from MacArthur, and one of the guys who's in there, his best friend is Michael Jordan's caddy at the Bears Club. Mm-hmm. So I said, what have you heard, like scuttlebutt? Because, so I don't know if a lot of people know, but there are professional caddies in country club environments on the higher end clubs. Mm-hmm. And these are very, very successful guys. And the one guy I'm talking to, he is, if not the best or one of the best caddy players at Wingfoot in New York.
Oh, nice.
So he goes between Wingfoot in the summer and MacArthur Club in Hope Sound in the season here. And a lot of them come from the islands, Jamaica, Bahamas. And I asked them, I said, how many caddies you think from the islands in the U.S.? How many caddies would you guess? I'm talking island caddies now, I'm talking guys from the Caribbean caddies, okay? You know what? Guess what number he told me? You're going to be shocked when you say what he told me.
500.
50,000, he told me.
Holy crap.
Wow, that was a factor miss.
You think?
Wow.
He told me he believes, because between all the caddies from the Caribbean, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
50,000. Now I have no way of. I tried to check or.
How do you check that?
Well,
I mean,
think about that number,
yeah.
right? So
We'll ask CNN. They're real good at fact checking.
Anyway, but it was really a cool conversation because we actually talked in detail about, how the caddies work and how they go back and forth, and it's really a very close knit, connected thing, and it's really like who you know, and they. But the caddies, which I find incredibly interesting, the caddies have a much more intimate and personal relationship with these golfers because they spend 4 or 5 hours. I mean,
all the waking hours a day with them figuring
out
out everything they need to make their game better.
But of course, it all turns into social. Like they know about them and their kids and their wives and what they like to do and what they like to eat, and because part of the experience as they play is the caddy takes care of a lot of these things. Now, when you're in this environment, a caddy will be your caddy. Every time you play golf, you'll get so and so. And so, anyway, this guy was really cool, and he actually created a product. I'm not going to spill the beans on it tonight because I want to share it down the line here. But it's a very cool product, and a lot of really, really powerful people are getting behind it. And he's a caddy. So I was trying to tell him, because I have this marketing business that I do. And I'm like, you need to keep your story because that's a great story. And he's thinking, oh, I don't know if I should do this. I said, you need to go get all these caddies in America to kind of join in on your venture and kind of use it as like a caddy and business.
Yeah, and then run with it. Yeah,
it could be cool. But I was asking him about whether or not his friend knew about Jordan's course, and he said, oh yeah, we all know about Jordan's course because depending on how busy it is. I mean, a caddy has to go where there's enough people to make a living.
Yeah,
but that customer or that golfer will be a very cool customer, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
But he was saying his friend's excited, so you never know,
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's like like you were mentioning. They go where the money is right now. Where they can stay busy.
Yeah.
You notice you play the champ course at PGA National now.
Yeah.
And you'll have a caddy.
Right.
Either a 4 caddy or your own caddy.
Yeah.
You go there in the summertime, and they're nowhere to be found.
No, they're working up.
They're gone. They're up north.
Yeah.
Private clubs up north because that's
what they have.
That's where it is. That's
sure. They got to make their money. And a lot of people don't know how caddies work. A lot of them, most caddies are not even. They're independent contractors. They get a set fee. The club sets the fee. Members don't have a choice. That's what they're getting. At a country club, people don't use cash, right? Mm-hmm. So the member gets charged the fee to play golf, and the caddies are part of the fee. And then the member's job is to tip out the caddy when they're done. Mm-hmm. And so the fee is set. It is what it is. But the tip out, is a lot.
Yeah, that's their gravy.
That's their. Well, I think the way he makes it sound is that's their money. I mean, they basically
they get so little of the actual fee.
No, they do good with the fee too, but the money on the tip is all theirs, right? So he said that caddies have to be part obviously golf, psychologist, friend, buddy,
Oh yeah.
So the better you are personality wise, and the better are you are with the person you caddy for is going to make a big difference on your career. But it's going to be cool to see if Michael Jordan's course is going to have a caddy group or not.
Yeah, because they want to play so fast.
That might not be a good place for caddies, but
or they may just have their own cart. The caddy may have his own cart. Who knows?
I don't know how you would caddy with a group if you have that many guys, but I could see a caddy on the back of each cart per guy. Yeah. So instead of foursome, 2 guys. And taking care of everything all day. That would be a fun experience.
Yeah. Especially
if you're playing. But if you're playing that quick, maybe you don't need caddies. So maybe maybe that's just something that it depends on what he does with the course. I mean, if it's just a private playground for Michael Jordan primarily and something
just kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah. Then maybe you don't have to have caddies.
Yeah.
But again, that's only fun for the first couple of years. I mean, even when Wayne Huizenga built the Floridian, it was kind of like you got invited and you remember and you didn't pay any money. And, you know, I understood, and I could be wrong, but I thought that the original concept was he paid for everything. So if you got a letter from Wayne Nzinga that said you're a member, you really didn't pay for anything. I mean, everything was, there.
Yeah, I played there right after Wayne first opened the place.
I think I did too, because everybody tried to get into that.
Like I said, everything was taken care of. The clubhouse wasn't even built yet. They were using what was someone's former residence.
Yeah,
they were using
it was right there.
They were using that as the clubhouse at the time.
I've played it a couple times, and I haven't played. I mean, I was out there recently, but I haven't really played. And then I did kind of participate in that Hall of Fame fundraiser with Palmer, Nicklaus, Player, and Trevino, when they raised money for Dana Quigley's son. But
you actually got out there.
Yeah, I was in that whole thing.
They sent me the press release on it to cover it. And when I asked them, I said, "Well, what time is it? Where do I, how do I get in? Who do I talk to?" Oh, we don't want you to come out.
We just want you to write about it.
We just want you to write about it. And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to write about it if I don't see it. I mean,
you should have called me. You should have called me. Now, like you would have known, like I was out there, right? So it was just one of those.
I figured if I can't get in, there's no way Arlen's getting anywhere near the place.
Man, Arlen had the hookup. You missed that one because that was when that was part of when I was coaching, and one of the people, I was doing a project with Nick Price and.
Nice.
We were calling it all in this group thing, but anyway, it was the timing of it. But I actually had some of my top 4 high school seniors from my Pine School team were the caddies.
Okay.
For Palmer, Nicklaus, Player, and Trevino.
Oh, nice.
And then we had some other, but that was the feature group, and they wanted a caddy. But it was really a chance for the kids to really get to know.
Oh yeah.
So. I actually I walked with every single one of them, multiple holes. I mean, I was with Palmer for 3 or 4 holes. I was with Player for at least 5 or 6 holes. I mean, walking side by, like talking to him like the whole time.
Oh, nice.
Because Gary Player talks the whole time as the
Trevino. He does. Yeah.
And I got to pick
Trevino.
He'll
talk your ears
Trevino
off.
hit it so good that day. I bet you he shot 67 on his own ball.
Oh wow.
I mean, he hit it so good. And he kept talking about, I'm hitting it so good. I'm saying, yeah, you are. And I actually got to pick up Trevino and Lanny Watkins from the airport to play in it. So I ended up spending, some time in the car.
Nice.
And once I'm not a reporter. I'm just, I'm like, they ask, what are you doing here? So I'm telling them, and, oh, you're so-and-so. And they're like, man, it was just like talking to me and you, But anyway, that was a cool event. A lot of people didn't get to see it because it wasn't that kind of thing, but they raised a lot of money, and it was a very, very cool event. So
that's cool. Well, we're gonna take another break. Take our last break. Yeah. We get back, we'll talk a little more golf. We got a couple other things to talk about here. 220-9788 if you want to join us. Michael, if you're Michael Jordan, if you're out there and you want to.
Yeah.
Call in and
promote your
fill us in
golf
a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Give us a holler.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. And we're back on the Wednesday Night Golf Show, Hump Day Edition.
Hump Day edition.
Hump Day.
One of the big things right now that they're talking about in golf is rolling back the golf ball.
2.
Well, Jack Nicklaus, arguably the greatest golfer of all time, thinks that a 20% rollback in the distance the ball will go would be good.
That's probably the right number.
Well, the problem with that is this. There are roughly 4,000 men, mostly professional athletes, who play golf for a living.
Okay. 4,000.
4,000. Let's say roughly 4,000 according to statistics.
4,000
That's
male professional players.
yeah, that's 0.0001% of the 50 million people around the globe that play golf.
Yeah, very tiny.
So to roll it back for the other 99.99999% of the players, just because these guys hit it too far, is kind of silly. I don't know about you, but I don't think I hit the ball too far.
Oh, he's talking about.
Jack's talking about in general for everybody.
Gotcha.
Let's roll it back for everybody. Now, to give you an idea how much that would affect players, if you consider a scenario of a 20% rollback, Zach Johnson, who averages 292 yards off the tee. So you and I think, 292 yards. I would love to hit it 292. He would only hit it 234 yards off the tee with a 20% rollback. That would put him 130th in driving distance on the ladies' tour. Now, I got trouble hitting at 230.
So you're going to go back to
So
180?
I'm going to go back to 180? No, I'm not going to play this game very much at that rate. I mean, I'm not going to have any fun at all.
Well, when you started that whole, I thought the conversation was about the tour.
He thinks it should be across the board for everybody. The argument was made years ago that part of the reason why Jack wasn't worried about equipment as much as he was worried about the golf ball was because his company didn't make golf balls. They only made golf equipment. So now, obviously a rollback in the golf ball would allow you to build smaller golf courses. You don't need as much land to build a golf course. You don't need, you don't need have as much to mow or as much to water and and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that for someone like Nicklaus who's they're steeped in tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
The idea of all these classic golf courses being totally annihilated by the way players play today.
Yeah.
And I think that bothers him from a traditional standpoint, which I actually don't disagree with. It's almost like you almost put it this way. I think it would be very cool to play if they would go back and play tournaments on some great old golf courses that are just not long anymore, and that's where you'd have a 20% ball or like a less longer ball just to see.
Or if you made them play an older ball with older equipment.
Well, that the equipment part is hard because then you're fighting don't forget the equipment's better for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I actually think the ball spinning less is the critical element. The ball not going as crooked, the ball, but with speed comes curvature, right? And these guys, as a whole, golfers swing faster. I mean, golfers swing faster now. I'm not talking to take the elite guys of an era, right? So, do I think that Jack Nicklaus would have been as long as he was? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do I think there'd be a lot of guys that weren't as long as Jack that would have been closer to him with the technology? Yes. I think Zach Johnson hitting at 292. Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Zach. That kind of freaks me out a little bit.
That's a long way for, yeah.
Zach Johnson is not a power hitter.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
But another thing to consider, and it was something that I enjoyed watching on the practice range, is these guys get roll. I mean, you look at the roll that they get when the ball lands versus what we see on a normal basis.
But that's
I mean,
agronomy though. That's them.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, this whole thing, he hits at 292 off the tee. Well, if you wanted the fairways a little more or cut them a little longer,
Tied them up.
You might not. You might take 10 yards or 20 yards off some of their drives. Granted, that's not a big deal, a lot, but it's something.
It makes a difference.
I mean, because I was watching some of the numbers these guys were getting, and they weren't looking at their total distance. They were looking at their carry distance. What's my carry distance?
Yeah. And what was the number? You remember looking at this?
They were in the 270s to 280s,
which is not crazy.
Which is not crazy, and when you consider, Justin Thomas led the Honda Classic with 320 yards.
That's crazy.
Is what they measured on the third hole. They only used the third hole to measure. He averaged 320, I believe it was, and Tiger was right behind him, believe it or not, at 319. So, and that was the hole they used to measure. But you get on that hole, and you'd watch the ball land, and it would bound for 20 yards, 20, 30 yards.
We never see that.
We never see that.
No. And it's funny you mentioned that because when I was doing the golf rep business full time, whenever we'd have sales meetings, we would go, a sales meeting in Chicago, summer. Mm-hmm. I would always be 30 yards longer. Because of roll, because down here we get nothing compared to what they get.
Every afternoon it rains in the summer and
the
air's heavy.
And two summers ago, when I was in Utah with my son for a football camp, and we went out and actually played, we had time, and I remember, I ran in clubs and I hardly ever play anymore, but the first hole I caught it as good as I can hit it, and it was like a downhill rolling. I hit it 380 yards downhill because it was, it's light air.
Yeah.
It was downhill. I probably hit it 270.
And the fairway was like this table.
And it rolled 100 yards, and it was like, wow, this is awesome. Do you think I played that much better? No. The score was almost the same. but my point was, it was more fun to play. But I just think the older guys are gonna struggle. It's it's like, was Wilt Chamberlain the best basketball player? Was it Oscar Robertson? Was it Elgin Baylor? Was it okay? Charles Barkley's going to say this. How can you not put LeBron? It's just part of sport, So
yeah,
I think that Nicklaus would have been good no matter what. But at the same time, the ball is what it is, and the courses are what they are. But I don't think you'd make. Golf does not need a restriction for average players. The average guy does not hit it far enough.
No.
And that would be a total detriment.
And we don't have the access to the technology that we were talking about, that we saw, the guys on the practice range.
We don't have the swings for it.
We don't have a swing for it. We don't have,
it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how good was that one? That one curved way right. What's the number on that? Doesn't matter.
all the technology we were talking about, right. the numbers that these guys were looking at. One thing I noticed that was pretty neat was a lot of them, when they were hitting driver, and they threw some balls to their caddy or their coach or whoever was there, and the guy was taking a Sharpie and he was making a dot on the ball. Yeah. And the player was teeing it up so that the dot, that black Sharpie dot, was going to hit the face.
Oh, he's checking his face number.
So he was looking
face impact. Yeah.
So he's looking to see where his face impact was. So I'm thinking, all this technology, and he's using pretty much the most simple thing,
as old as you can
to figure out where it's hitting on the club face. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So we go from,
TrackMan to Sharpie.
TrackMan to a Sharpie.
Well, unfortunately, I hear our music.
Yep, that's it for us. We're done. We're
done.
out of here.
Thanks for
Sayonara, everybody.
Have a great week.
We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Stay tuned for Julia Sansevere, your dancing realtor, coming up next.